Welcome back to What's Your Take? Real talk on leadership and life. I'm your host, Dr. Nikki, the DBA pharmacist and founder of FitBiz Global Solutions. In the previous part of this conversation, we explored how perception, bias, and mentorship can influence leadership advancement at an individual level. In this final part, we shift our focus to the systems themselves, how organizations can build leadership pipelines that are fair, transparent, and sustainable. This conversation ultimately comes back to leadership systems. Organizations that want sustainable leadership pipelines must be willing to examine the structural and cultural dynamics that shape advancement. That includes asking questions such as, are opportunities distributed equitably? Are sponsorship networks inclusive? Are leadership qualities being evaluated through a broad lens? When organizations take a thoughtful approach to these questions, they strengthen their leadership cultures. So, I want to ask you both this. What is one step organizations can take to build leadership pipelines that are both fair and effective? I'll go with Carla first.
Oh, I think it's about the questions the organization asks of itself, potentially. We talk about representation. We've talked about a lot of things, really. I think I'm going to speak to something that I know has happened, and it's something that, again, is protected as well in law in the UK. When someone is, because really we are talking about discrimination at some level. When somebody is discriminated against and a concern is raised, or there's a system of discrimination, and it's brought to light, it's really important that there is, there needs to be a culture of transparency and learning, and then implementation from that learning of what that has brought to light. Because I think we have to, we're all human, and we all bring our own experiences to our workplaces. And I think it could be really, really, really hard, really, really hard, really challenging for a colleague or a group of colleagues to raise a real concern to say, oh, what we are experiencing here isn't fair. And we're only experiencing it because we're women, or we're only experiencing it because we're dark skinned, because we're black, because we're not the heterosexual norm. I think it's really, really hard to then have to say, as an organization, to say, what have we missed? What is it that we have missed, have not asked of ourselves, have not done, but to make this possible, to create this possibility of this of happening? I know that there have been different approaches. Some take the approach of percentages of certain demographics being in positions of leadership. We all want to be where we should be based on merit, and willingness. So I think organizations do need to have policies in place, at the very least, that acknowledges the subject matter of equality and equity. And better yet, to nurture a culture and practice in place, and challenge themselves to look at that.
So, Zanda, I was going to ask you the same question. What is one step organizations can take to build leadership pipelines that are both fair and effective?
Yeah, that's against, you want and need to make talent development more structured and transparent. Um, I had stated before, it needs to be more objective as opposed to subjective, and so on. And that people with policies like Carla had stated, makes life much easier. If people could just read the policies and the procedures, they would know what their key performance indicators are. They know the reporting structure from the job description, but they need to know the workflow. And policies really, really help. Like, that's why they're there. That's why we have acts. That's why we have legislation. So we all know how to behave. Everybody doesn't behave the same. We're not the same. We don't bleed the same, but we don't heal the same. And so I think the point Carla said was that everybody wants to be promoted according to their merit. No, that is not the case. That is not the case.
Oh, I love this. We almost tried it. This we know it, Dream. I love it. Go on. Come on, Z.
That is not the case with many, many people in the corporate world. uh, they're very okay with walking over people and getting there with zero merit.
You know what it is? My romantic way of
In
saying.
fact, they're upset. They're upset with you if you try to put them in a policy or procedure. You get in deep trouble. So that is the
Oh,
problem. That is the challenge. See, people are very okay with getting ahead by their gender, by their race, by their whatever you want to call it. And so,
I guess that's
um,
why we're here, right?
and
Because
that's
it seems to be a
hey,
problem.
and
yeah.
that's the challenge. That's why we're having this conversation.
The people who are the problem are the people who want to encourage the problem. So this is why we're having this
Yes.
conversation. So, Zanda, I just wanted to say, are you saying that through policies and procedures, right? Because, like, I know Carla is talking to things that are on the governmental or federal level, right? Whereby you have policies and laws in place. Are you saying that that's how we can ensure that talent recognition and advancement opportunities are not influenced by perception or bias? Is that what we're saying here?
It would help. It would. I think it would help drastically. Now, what I even you see, even if there are external forces at play, at some point outside the organization, I mean, it would nobody nobody has time to follow each person. Some people may slip through the crack, but those policies and procedures, if enforced, many of us have policies and procedures, but we're not enforcing them. We're not enforcing them, and also the employees are also not aware of them.
Yes, that part.
Well, right,
No,
but
they're right.
they don't know. And then you must do constant refreshers because policies change. There's never supposed to be one version of a policy. It's never supposed to be one version of a regulation. You're supposed to constantly see what industry best practices are, and you should make improvements from that. And so I believe that by enforcing policies, by actually having not penalties, but when there are infractions, there are actual people not punished. People are reprimanded according to these policies or procedures. People wouldn't necessarily want to be in a position that they're not qualified for because they would know the ramifications if they don't perform at that level. And that's many positions I wouldn't want because I'm not prepared for that, for the ramifications. And I think the more people are aware of what the issues are, what can happen if you make a mistake, they would want to only be promoted by merit, at least the majority.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's interesting. But you know how you have policies and procedures. I know from personal experience, right, in the corporate world, that well, not just corporate world, but there's something called we shouldn't have nepotism. Nepotism in the workplace is something that's all in every policy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no one follows it.
No, no,
You realize that?
no.
It's in every organizational policy, but no one follows it. You have people when you be like, oh, well, this one should not work directly over this one, or we should not give this person a job because of this. No one's listening. but it's literally written in every single policy. I'm pretty sure all the policies were there. No one's following it though. So that's a good example. So the only way I feel that people will stand up and pay attention, unfortunately, is if it's written into law.
Oh.
I think that's the only way people are going to pay attention, because those policies, they be brushed under the table. Some are hiding somewhere. Nobody knows where it's at. But we talked about awareness before. So, Carla, I'd like to bring you in here. From your perspective, working closely with individuals navigating complex systems, what role does organizational transparency play in helping people understand how advancement decisions are made?
I think I'm gonna come back to really, they made the point, which is really about it being clear what the skill levels and progression looks like for roles within an organization. I think certainly for registered professionals in health and social care, the registration bodies have standards and standards of protection everybody has to stick with, comply with as a part of being registered, because it protects the public, etc. But when it comes to organizations specifically, I think it's so crucial for somebody who is progressing to even understand why they have been chosen to progress. Like, what's the skill what's really been the thing that is made it possible for them to move forward? How are they going to help the people who are sort of coming up behind to support them to do that? And I think if an organization doesn't make it really clear the traits, the characteristics, the skills, the competency that they're looking at, and across a range of domains. When you all have you always have your technical skills. Every leadership position, depending on what the roles entail, require a range of communication skills. What I guess we'll use as a term, we would say, the soft skills. And that can cover a whole range of things depending on your role. I think it needs to just be really clear. And I can't see why that can't be in black and white. Or I say black and white, I use that term. I mean, it could be digitally, of course, but, someone needs to be able to say, well, this is why we feel you are a good candidate or not a good candidate. Or this is what we want you to support the rest of your team to get better at. An organization should know what it needs of its people to fulfill its mission, to thrive. And, I can reflect on an experience where actually there were opportunities for progression for a range of people, but it wasn't really clear why people were being chosen. And some people kind of looked at that with a little bit of suspicion, and they thought, well, I haven't been there long enough, or I don't even know what they're looking for. And, it was almost like a protected thing to go, I'm not sure I want to take that advancement, because I'm not really it's not clear what it's really about. So as an organization, you can lose out on having your talent in the right place by not having that transparency. It's always flattering, of course, to be offered progression. But sometimes, everybody's got a level of agency, and you want to be making an informed decision. Not every progression is progression that you want. It's the right progression for you. You might want a progression that looks more like a sidestep than a step up. So it's really important for organizations to make it clear, make it transparent, what you need. What is it that you need of your workforce, of your teams, to develop the leadership pipelines now, and future-proofing it to a degree, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Another good reflection and perception. Which brings me to final questions, guys. Final questions. So this section I usually ask all the guests called Quickfire Reflections, and it's just one single question. I'm going to ask you one single answer. So looking back, right, what's one leadership lesson about colorism and perceptions that you wish you had learned earlier in your career? I can start with you, Carla.
I think it would have helped me to be more aware, with awareness, be more proactive about seeking the support, particularly earlier on in my career, because it was there. It was actually there. And I missed it because I was not aware of this invisible thing that was impacting on me. But I had colleagues who were. So I think it's about being open, observing. And then for me, it was my naivety really. So for me, my lesson is to be aware, and I suppose just be curious observer.
Okay, that's actually very insightful. Yeah, awareness is key, right? So, Zanda, see, you want to answer that question. Looking back, what's one leadership lesson about colorism and perceptions that you wish you had learned earlier in your career?
Um, I guess what people always like to say is dress for success, or you should act the way you should become the person you want to be in the future now to attract what you need, where you want to go, and to get the respect. Confidence is good, but you have to be careful with confidence, right? So I wish I was more confident initially in my career, but I'm grateful for the challenges and the journey. So I have to agree with Carla with awareness. I guess that's the only thing. Maybe I think I would have benefited to know that people would perceive you. It didn't matter if you were a good person or not a good person. People will have their perception of you, and you have to probably work in a way where they can't really use that against you. I learned that later on, and so awareness would have been useful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty about life and learning. As we continue to live and grow, we will learn things. And I guess a lot of things we wish we knew then that we know now. And I think that also just has to do with maturity. Obviously, a lot of us started our careers in our 20s, and now we're in later stages in our lives. So definitely, first of all, we have the experience, and then we also have the confidence. And like we say, these things, they're very subtle. You cannot prove it. You only can observe. Even when it's happening to you, it's very difficult to articulate because you need to know who's actually listening. Not everyone's listening to what you have to say. And so I think that's where we're at. I would have to agree with both of you. Awareness is key. You need to know what to look for. Don't be afraid to ask questions and take up offer on whoever is offering mentorship and sponsorship, hopefully with good intentions. But I've also had the opportunity to be mentored by people, and then I pass that forward to mentor others within my career. It's actually one of the things I actually quite enjoy, to prepare the future generation, pass the buck, you know. But this has been a thoughtful and important conversation, something that people don't or are afraid to talk about. Today, we explored how colorism and perception can influence leadership pathways and why examining these dynamics matters for organizations that want strong and sustainable leadership cultures. Leadership systems improve when they become more intentional about how opportunity flows within organizations. Because the goal of a leadership pipeline is not simply to produce leaders, it is to ensure that leadership potential, wherever it exists, has the opportunity to develop. And that begins with recognizing talent, challenging assumptions, and creating systems where opportunity is not limited by perception. Thank you both for joining me today and sharing your perspectives. You can connect with Carla on LinkedIn at Carla Turner. And Zanda, you can connect with her on Facebook at E Squared Solutions or on LinkedIn as well, Zanda Bonamy. I don't know if Carla or Zanda, you had another social handle you wanted to add to that?
No.
No, we're good. Okay. So, no, good. Okay. So, and thank you.
Yeah, no for me also. Sorry.
No for you. Okay. And thank you to our listeners for being part of the conversation. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to follow or subscribe wherever you listen. Share the podcast with someone navigating growth in their own leadership journey. Stay connected at fitbizsolutions.com, on social, Instagram at fitbiz.solutions, Facebook, FitBiz Solutions, and YouTube, FitBiz Solutions Media. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reflecting. And thank you for continuing this journey with me. Until next time, lead with intention. Keep honoring your process and always ask, what's your take?